All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar for this week. Our tech tools and how-tos, things you should know about our different tech stack. I am Todd Smith with Center Technologies. I'm our CTO. I've been here for 15 years and kind of oversee our different tech stack and the different solutions that we provide for our clients. And we have a special guest today, multiple, to help us out. We have Adam from Augmentt, and then also Michael, who doesn't have a nice, pretty slide from Augmentt, will be helping us out as well. And so if you're curious, what is Augmentt? We do include this for our Secure 365 clients. It is ultimately a 365 monitoring and security solution. So it can help us identify potential email or email compromises, end user issues, any kind of security issues on their tenant. We can also do apply some different security standards, get some nice reporting to help identify where there may be some gaps with their security posture of their 365 tenant, and a whole lot more. They're gonna obviously dive in and give you guys a lot more, educate you a lot more about their product. And as always, we have a Q&A question and answer section in Teams where you can select that, post any questions you may have, and we'll try to answer it throughout the webinar. So feel free to use that. Another reminder, we have a YouTube channel. So if you, youtube.com @CenterTechs with an S. Somebody had the Center Tech without it. Yeah, I know, it's silly. And after that, let's get started. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Adam.
Awesome. Thanks, Todd. I appreciate it. Also appreciate your slides because it's going to make mine maybe a little bit redundant, but I think there's still a touch of value here. So happy to go through them, just do a quick overview on the product itself before I go into a demo. I believe this is sharing all right. So like I said, very quick overview. We'll hop into a demo. What I wanted to touch on, just to add a bit more color, is the Augmentt platform as a whole. We focus on M365 security and management. So it's designed to help all departments from the security side and through security analysts, and ops on configuration, monitoring, setting up policies, doing posture hardening, and then as well on the management side for help desk efficiencies and best practices, license reporting are some other tools that we have in there to help the help desk and finance teams. Our focus is security. So we give you a single platform to secure all of M365, from security templates, where you're able to apply security policies quickly and also do a quick audit to understand where there's any gaps in security. And then breach detection, so real-time monitoring for any breaches through real-time alerts that we're pulling in from M365, and compliance reporting, so automated reporting or API if needed for the compliance reports. Without further ado, I will hop into the product itself. Give me just a quick moment to flip over to the demo environment. And that should be sharing in just a second. Perfect. So to walk through a bit of the platform and where you're able to find value in it, I'll very quickly touch on some of the reporting. That's some of the feedback I'd say that we get a lot of the time, is how intuitive and easy our product is to understand the data, where it's coming from, where there's gaps in security, and ensuring that everybody's compliant with any frameworks that you're measuring against. So to just quickly touch on these, threat report is meant to show you all of the threats and vulnerabilities being detected in the environment. It's really meant to be a quick audit or assessment so that you know where you should focus your attention and what you should target. So it shows all the threats and vulnerabilities that have been detected, where they're coming from, gives some quick metrics around identity and secure score, as well as the breakdown of risk detections being the top 5 types of risk and the accounts at risk. And then throughout this, you could get as granular with this as you like. You could see the breakdown of all the risks, If you do end up diving into it, a little bit of quality of life improvement or acknowledgement here is that anything within our product is filterable. You could search within these fields, you could filter them. So if you just want to see the high risk alerts like successful sign-ins outside of operating countries, very easy to get that information in one easy to read document. You could then also see at-risk accounts. So MFA status, who's not protected, why aren't they protected, as well as inactive accounts, being those accounts that have access to the to the environment, but nobody's logged in for over 30 days. So those could be, maybe an ex-employee that wasn't offboarded properly, or maybe it's bad actors that gained access and are allowing accounts to age. This will give you some insight into that. And just quick tidbit too, any of our reports, most of our product is fully exportable. So you could do it within Augmentt. You could also export this PDF or schedule that if you need to send it to specific people on a certain cadence. A couple other reports, just MFA. Again, if you want to get more details on the actual employees, ensuring that everybody has the right license type, see who's protected, who's not. It's very easy to filter and see what's going on there, and what needs to be addressed. And then I'd say the meat and potatoes of the product is going to be around the security posture, alerts, and engage, which is our user management module. So to dive into the security posture a little bit here, security posture allows you to run an audit for all the threats, vulnerabilities that are occurring within your environment. And we have a list of 134 different security checks that we're running against certain configurations and policies within M365. Where we make this very easy to monitor is that you can see it's simply color coded to see what's yellow and partially compliant, needs some attention. Red is not compliant, still needs to be addressed, and green is obviously compliant and good to go. This can be used, one, as an audit to use as a report, so easy to filter through each of the fields, see what needs to be addressed. If you're in a vertical that has certain security frameworks that you need to ensure you're compliant with, we've included a good majority of them within the product. So if it's CIS, CISA, CISA Scuba, you're able to just filter, see which versions of it you're compliant with, where there's any gaps, what needs to be addressed to ensure that you're not drifting from that in any way. Now, where this gets even more useful is that this is fully customizable. We obviously love to throw everything at our partners so that you have the capabilities to audit everything you'd like, but this isn't going to apply. All 134 checks aren't going to apply to every single partner within the environment. So you could customize this so that you could choose what checks you care about, what you want to make sure you're compliant against, and include those in the audit. So it actually means something to you, your technicians, and everybody that's leveraging it. And it's simple as just toggling off on and off what you want to include in that audit. With that said, anything that is toggled off, we're still going to measure. It's still going to be in the report. You can still look at it, just hops over to the ignored column and would be removed from any exports that you're doing of the report and the posture score here, which, to give a bit of context on, this posture score is unique to Augmentt. It is absolutely influenced by and impacted by the Microsoft Secure Score, but it's unique in Augmentt in the sense that it is calculated based on the items that you have within the audit, what you customize, and it's also weighted depending on what those postures that you're including are. So things like MFA and stuff will be weighted heavier than other items. The logic and idea behind this is that you create your 100% that you're measured against, and then it's very easy to come to the product and see if you're moved away from that 100%. That means there's some drift, there's a configuration that needs to be addressed, something you need to take a look at, and you could just quickly go to not compliant, partially compliant, see what it is, and make sure that that's remediated. Now, where we're going a step further, so not only do you get the ability to audit against these items, everything in here that you see an icon over on the right-hand side, so whether it's a gear icon, a green shield for conditional access, or a blue shield for defender policies, that means that it is configurable within the product. So it could be as, simple as, let me try to find one here, connected app and user consent, I believe is just a toggle that's either on or off. You have it enabled or disabled. It could get a little bit more complex as you start to dive into things like MFA, since there's multiple ways to set up MFA. You'll get obviously the user data, see who's not compliant, who's compliant. Most likely you're worried about who's not compliant. And then in that case, you could hop over to configure and set up your MFA. So whether that's conditional access policies, you could create new policies through here. If you're still using Azure per user, which is supposed to be deprecated shortly, Microsoft keeps pushing that, but until that happens, we'll keep it in the product. Or you could turn on security defaults within your environment as well, all directly through the product. Um, to touch a little bit more on that, before I hop over to alerts, I'll just quickly show some policy management. So again, just before I move on, about 60% of the items are configurable. The rest are meant to be audits so that you have that holistic overview of where the gaps and drift are occurring. Now, for the ones that are conditional access or defender, we do have those configurable through the product. Conditional access, you're able to template any policies that you have that exist. You're able to edit them, manage them, configure them through Augmentt. If you need to redeploy templates or policies, you're able to do so as well. And just to give a quick overview on that, you could quickly filter to see, okay, which policies are enabled, just so you see everything that exists within your environment. And I will say, if you use Augmentt, it doesn't matter where you built these policies. If they're in Microsoft or on the Augmentt side, we're going to pull them all into the product and we're automatically going to start backing them up. So if a change is ever made to a policy, something like this one here, we keep a history on it so that you can see who made the change, what the change was, and then let's say an error's made, all of a sudden nobody could log into any devices. It's very easy to go into this history tab, see where the error was made, and then roll back the policy to a certain point in time. Again, it doesn't matter where those changes are being made. We're going to track it. You're just able to manage it through the product much easier. I don't know if I'll touch too much on deploying policies, but if you've got ones that you've created, you could create templates of them within Augmentt, and then deploy them out through the product, which is easy as just grabbing a policy or a baseline. There's a bunch of baselines. Here's a policy blocking access for unsupported devices. Very easy to walk through. It's a simple wizard, so it makes one, much more efficient, two, avoids a lot more mistakes whenever deploying policies and simplifies that for your technicians. Same thing goes for Defender. I'm not going to dive as much into it, but just want to say that it exists. So Defender policy management, same thing. You're able to configure, deploy, and manage Defender policies through the product as well. It's broken down and organized a little bit differently because there's a variety of policies that you could leverage, but you'll be able to see which ones are configured, what's in place, and then push those out as well through here. I don't know if we should dive into roadmap, but for anybody using Intune, that is the next step. You will see some Intune policy management in here by end of year. So we got to see the UI is built and testing has begun. So that is the next one to come down the line.
Very excited for that one.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good positive feedback so far. To dive into alerts. So what I touched on so far is your reporting, the compliance piece, the posture hardening. The other piece is the reactive security. So what happens if a threat occurs? How are we identifying it? How can you remediate it? That's where our alerts come in. So these occur in real time. To give a bit of context on the alerts themselves, we have 154 different alerts that we're pulling into the product. I'm not going to go through all of them, but what people tend to care about the most are going to be any sort of risky sign-ins outside of operating country without MFA, things like atypical travel or impossible travel activity, which is an alert if somebody signs in. Let's say they're in the northern USA, they sign in, and 5 minutes later, somebody trying to sign in from the south, that will detect, pick it up, say, hey, it's impossible to sign in from these two locations in that amount of time. An alert will get triggered so that you can manage it. And then other things that are identified, such as like conditional access policies. If somebody's all of a sudden updating or making changes or deleting conditional access policies, that's typically, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's a sign of a breach. We're going to pull that in and get information on it so that you can see what's happening with that situation. This is the list of alerts, but how you actually manage and monitor them, just over this alert tab. This is just going to show you where the alerts are coming from. So it's easy to identify if there's like, hey, we shouldn't be having any, risk coming from Poland, Germany, India, or Saudi Arabia. Very easy to just quickly get an overview on that. And then the list of alerts will show up down below. So these are all ones that have been triggered. If you see a bunch of conditional access policies getting deleted like that, that would definitely be raising some red flags. But you can filter this. Let's see if I have an example of a user one. Yeah, that's definitely within our demo environment and somebody removing a bunch of test policies. I could still use those as an example. I'm not too concerned with it, but I like to show kind of risky sign-ins, which it appears we might not have any right now, which is absolutely okay. What I want to show is that anytime there's an alert that's triggered, you could then remediate it through the product as well. So let's pretend this was a risky sign-in alert or something along those lines. You'd be able to click into the alert, get information on the user that created that alert, who was triggered on. It will show, what happened, give some details on it. This one's obviously giving CA policy details, what was added. Risky signage would show where they're signing in from. So if you then identify that that user's not traveling, they're not on vacation, that shouldn't have happened, you could then quickly remediate and lock down their account, which takes these three actions. Or you could take those individually. If your process is to reset password, block sign in, or sign out of all apps, you're able to trigger those through here as well. Where we're going a step further on this is that we also have auto remediation. So if you would like to auto remediate, you're able to do so. Oops, that's not the right one. Let me just edit this quickly. So for the key alerts, so things like the risky sign-ins, activity from a Tor IP address, that impossible travel activity, you're able to set up within whatever time frame that alert's triggered. A lot of partners will tend to do it, outside business hours when they're not being monitored consistently, where you'll have Augmentt take automated action to block sign-in or sign them out of all apps, or both, or both, so that you can ensure that accounts safe, everything's locked down, and then review it once you're able to reach out that user, confirm what's going on, and give them access back. With the alerts, I think that's about all that's worth going through, at least in this format. Of course, if somebody wants to dig into it more, Todd's going to be your point of contact to do so. Just to move on, the last thing I really want to touch on here is going to be the user management. So secure is really meant to be that security piece, the proactive and reactive security and reporting. Engage is kind of the other side of the coin for security. So where this is impactful is, one, it's least privilege access. So if you have technicians that you want to do things like password resets or onboarding, offboarding, instead of having to give them GA access into the Microsoft environment, you'd be able to give them access to Augmentt, and you could get as granular with that as you like. So you could remove access so they can't do anything within secure. They could only access engage. And then there'll be a list of user actions that they could take within the product. So things like resetting password, blocking sign in, sign out of all apps. So security actions, registering MFA, creating temporary access pass, managing out of office, you could do within here. You can manage any groups or licenses through the product if you need to change the license types. And then one of the big time savers is around onboarding or offboarding of users. On the offboarding side, again, this is a demo environment, so there's not any aliases or anything set up, but you'll get the idea of the walkthrough and flow for this. You can take any security actions you need to. If you need to convert it to shared mailbox or send automatic replies, you could configure that all through the product. Any actions that you need to take, like reset passwords, sign out of all apps, etc., you're able to do. And we're going to list all of the groups that they exist within so that you can make sure that they're being removed from them. Or if you want to keep them in any group for a certain time period, you'd be able to just X that out and keep them in that group. One thing that's been a big time saver for our partners is the ability to schedule offboarding. So same functions that I just walked through, but you're able to say you have somebody that's offboarding Friday at 6 p.m. Instead of having to have somebody wait till that time comes to actually go through and start processing it, you could just preset the actions you would like Augmentt to take, go through, choose that time, and have that processed automatically. Another thing that we're saving time on is around the onboarding. So you could also onboard new users through Augmentt. Kind of the same thing. So you enter in all the information, assign their licenses, and you're going to create their account through here. And to go a bit of a step further is that you're able to actually template this. So assuming you have a certain format of how you want emails to be set up, like first name, first name dot last name, whatever the domain is, country of origin, and then whatever licenses you'd like to be assigned, you could template that so that when somebody goes to onboard a user, you just enter in their first name, last name, and the rest will auto-populate so that you can ensure no steps are missed, speed things up, and avoids those mistakes. With that, the only other thing I kind of had on the list to show everybody was going to be the license report. What this is designed for is really to help the finance team to ensure everything is aligned and operating correctly. It's just another report to review licenses that are being consumed, renewal dates, estimated commitment periods, ensure that everything is, aligned. There's no extra licenses or stuff in there. As I'm saying this, might be center that's monitoring that more, but you have the option to go through, get that information, export that, have it go to your finance team so you can make sure everything's aligned and accurate with your licensing. And Todd, feel free to hop in now because I think I touched on everything we wanted to cover, but let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to go over here.
Absolutely. And for our Secure 365 clients, kind of a roadmap item. You might have already seen some improvement on our Secure 365 dashboards, which we utilize in BrightGauge, but we're also starting to pull in a lot of this security posture data from Augmentt, and we're going to add some additional gauges to help track that and better showcase that data off to you in BrightGauge. So everything can be in that single pane of glass for reporting. So that's something our dev team's been working on and going to be pretty helpful. Any questions or anything? Adam did a phenomenal job, so that's probably why we don't have any questions.
I'll take it.
All right. Well, we can give everybody some time back, I think. Guys, I appreciate y'all jumping on today. Michael, I'm sorry you didn't get anything difficult thrown at you that you could jump in and give us an explanation too.
It's okay. Maybe next time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you all today for joining, and take care.
Appreciate it. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.